Welcome to Let's Talk Pets with your host, Linda Weston, right here on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub.
Good Saturday morning, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Pets, a fun program. Very happy to be part of the fabulous Hub family lineup of programs. I'm Linda Weston, your host from Friends of Cookeville-Putnam County Animals, a nonprofit, totally volunteer support group for the Cookeville-Putnam County Animal Shelter. This morning, my co-host, Sarah Hollick-Webb from Friends of Cookeville-Putnam County Animals, is with me here in the studio, as well as a friend of ours, a very popular dog trainer and owner of Thunderhawk Canine, and that is Christie Faccinto. So, Sarah, before we get started, because we've got lots to talk about today, let's just take a minute and thank our sponsors who make this show possible.
We are grateful to Pet Supplies Plus, located in the Walmart Shopping Center.
And Copeland Veterinary Hospital on 10th Street with 24-hour emergency service.
And Cumberland Pet Essentials, offering pet grooming, styling and spa, holistic foods, nutritional counseling, and a pet boutique located at 142 South Willow in the Willow Tree Plaza.
And Friends of Cookeville-Putnam County Animals. So many thanks to each of these groups. Now we get to say good morning, Christy, and welcome back to Let's Talk Pets.
Good morning. Thanks for having me back.
Well, we're very glad to have you with us. You know, our shelter right now is just full. It's full of all kinds of pets. Many of those, of course, are cats and kittens because we are right in the middle of cat kitten season. And so we're loaded with all those kitties right now. But we also have lots of dogs, really great dogs, and puppies too, right, Sarah?
We do. We have got, it's everything in the shelter, and there's even bunnies in the shelter right now.
That's right.
Wow.
So, you know, we take in anything that's a domesticated companion animal at the animal shelter. So you never know what you're going to find there. So, you know, we were talking, actually, I think a couple of weeks ago in a conversation that we were having with Christy about COVID dogs and what that means. And it's a really interesting subject that none of us really saw coming. We didn't really see this as something that was going to be an issue, but we saw that during 2020 and during 2021, through the shelters all across the country didn't have an overpopulation of animals because lots of families and homes were coming to adopt. They were at home more. They were in need of companionship for their own, mental health and stimulation and all of that. And so it was a wonderful thing to see pets leaving shelters and going into wonderful homes. But now we realize that there's something a little bit different that's happened now that everyone has went back to work and to school.
Yeah, I agree. Excuse me. I think we're using the term COVID dogs often to just kind of explain away a variety of different issues that we're seeing with animals that have been obtained in the last 2 years or so. But often I think what we've seen is while everybody was at home, not socializing, like you said, they went out, they got animals to fulfill their lives, but then they also weren't out socializing. And they weren't having people over. So the animals weren't seeing anything new. There wasn't a whole lot of mental and physical stimulation. Humans were super stressed out. And so we were also, while we were socially isolating our pets, we were kind of putting all of our scared thoughts and feelings and maybe hyper attachment onto these animals while they were young and developing. And now we have a bunch of 1 and 2 year old dogs that are kind of worried about new people, haven't been around a lot of people, don't know how to behave when new people come over. And plus, people are going back to work. These animals haven't been alone. They haven't developed any coping skills or independence. So when their humans go back to work, they take out all that stress on their bodies, on the couch, on the carpet, on the furniture, and they just show all these destructive anxiety-based behaviors. When their owners try to help them and take them out in public now, for the first time ever, the dogs are scared of people, barking, reactive, some showing aggression, and a lot of people are just giving up. And I think that's why we're seeing this influx back at the shelter. Everybody's got busy again, and now they're not busy with easy to live with animals. They're busy with really difficult animals, and sometimes it's just overwhelming for them.
Yeah, so we unintentionally conditioned our pets to the lifestyle that we were living at the time, which ended up being very temporary, and we're glad that it was temporary. But we now know that we have these pets, and when we adopt a pet, we want it to be for a lifetime. I don't think anybody really wants to surrender their pet to the shelter. They just feel like they are at their wit's end. Yeah. They feel like there are no other options. And in fact, we do know that there are some other options. So, Christy, we were hoping that you could kind of go into some of the things that we can do to help face these trials.
Yeah, I would love to talk about that some. I think perhaps one of the biggest things that we often do as humans is we put our thoughts and our emotions and everything on our animals, and we don't give them the skills or the appropriate guidance to actually be successful. So one of the big things we're really as an industry starting to focus on is this concept of engagement, like this concept that I, as your person, need to be who you pay attention to the most for good reasons. Like, I'm going to give you lots of positive reasons to focus on me. But then by looking to me for direction, I can make it so you don't need to feel insecure. I can make it so you feel protected if you work with me as a team, or if maybe the dog is reactive and it's not based on insecurity, maybe the dog just wants to push people around a little bit. That engagement, that look to me and we can work together, allows me to give that dog direction and manage its behavior and keep it safe. So that's usually the first place we start. I think almost like every group class that we offer the first day is, this is how I want you to do engagement at home, so that when you walk in here, your dog is prepared. When I start talking to somebody with a behavior problem, if it's anxiety, it's increase mental and physical stimulation and start building engagement. If it's aggression, it's where's your engagement at? What are you doing for your dog's mental health? So I think those are the key concepts for beginning any sort of forward progress.
So the really wonderful thing is, for all of those that have experienced this, or that know friends and family that have experienced these all these what we view as negative behaviors from our pets that we have adopted over the last year or two while our lives have been changing, is there's help. And it's often as simple as calling a trainer, because these aren't things that we normally think of by ourselves. This is, again, just like everything that's happened over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of new things that have been brought to our attention that we never saw coming. And so we never saw that, bringing a wonderful pet into our home from a shelter, or, buying that puppy or whatever you might have done could breed problems down the road. We all saw that as, I'm going to be home. It's going to be perfect. It's going to be a great time to bring a pet home. I'm going to be right here. I'm going to be able to train it. I'm going to be able to, condition all these behaviors, and we have accidentally conditioned some really, really bad behaviors. So it's as simple as calling a trainer. Every pet is different. Every home is different. Every schedule is different, and everyone has different expectations out of your pets. I just want mine to, not eat the couch and not attack people when they come in the door. Other people want their pets to be much more, to have much better behaviors than that, and we certainly hope that you do. So reach out to a trainer and just simply get help. It's not, what you're experiencing isn't uncommon. It's very common right now, but there is help, and you don't have to surrender a pet, or you don't have to give up. There's lots of different avenues, rather than saying I don't know what else to do and feeling like you're backed into a corner.
I agree.
Well, excellent advice. And we're going to talk a little bit more about finding how you find good trainers in a little bit. But I want to back up for a second and talk about, now we've got all these dogs, puppies, dogs in different shelters everywhere. And I walked through our shelter the other day. There's some really nice, beautiful, good-looking, sweet dogs there that need a home. And of course, from the shelter viewpoint, we want everybody to adopt, but to adopt for the lifetime of that pet. So you really need to, if you're thinking of adopting, or if you're thinking about going to a shelter and looking at some of these dogs, let's talk about some of the things that you need to keep in the back of your mind. It's not just walking through the kennels and going, I think that dog is so cute. There's more to it, right, Sarah?
There is. There's a lot about, making a connection in person, and you always need to spend time with the pet that you're going to adopt. Spend, even several visits. See how they are, and see how they're going to fit into your home. But there's things as simple as considering size, your lifestyle, your home, your family, and breed when you bring a pet into your home. These are all things that you kind of need to go down the checklist and be really, really, really realistic with yourself. Because so often we can go on petfinder.com or go on Facebook and fall in love with a picture. Right. And I've done it many times. And thought, this is the dog for me. And by the time you get to the adoption agency, you're so worked up and you're so convinced that this is going to be my dog that you kind of have on blinders, and you don't really have the correct expectations and the correct mindset when you walk in the door. So have a very open mind, and like I said, be very honest with yourself and talk to everyone that you live with. Talk to your family, talk to your housemates, and have a good, open, honest conversation about what is the expectation, what is going to be everyone's role in taking care of this pet, and what do we all expect the pet to be. Is it going to be a quiet little cat that sits in the corner that, or do you want a very active collie or some kind of wonderful, really active breed that you can go hiking with and that you can do agility with? And so there's a huge gamut of what our needs are out of a pet and what a animal's needs are as well. And if those needs don't come together and if we don't have correct expectations, it's kind of a recipe for failure. So we never, ever, ever want that to happen.
Well, we've seen it so many times at the shelter where somebody comes in, just as you're saying, they fall in love with the dog, and it's a big dog and they have a small apartment or they have no backyard or something like this. So how's that going to work? You're so right on the money there. You need to really figure out what you want, what you and your family can handle, and how much you're going to be involved, because I think that's really part of the failure of what we've been talking about this morning.
I think that's huge.
And we always want people to adopt, and we want the people to adopt so much right now that we have a really great event going on that's sponsored by Apex Podiatry. It's called Dog Days of Summer. It's going to be going on for a while because there are some really, really special pets that have some extra sponsorship. They're fixed, and that means they're spayed or neutered. They have all their shots, they're microchipped, and they're ready to go to a home, like walk out the door today. But again, do your homework before you go in and fall in love with that pet.
Exactly. Well, we want to do a shout out to Apex Podiatry, to Dr. Summer Wary and her husband Chris Wary, big animal supporters, big dog lovers, and they are underwriting this adoption event. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Apex. So we need to take just a quick little break. Don't go away, because we will be right back with more Let's Talk Pets on News Talk 107.7 and 1400, The Hub.
Copeland Veterinary Hospital is a full-service veterinary hospital, including 24-hour emergency assistance, and is located at 821 East 10th Street in Cookeville, focusing on providing the highest quality care to clients and patients through our devotion to client communication, commitment to excellent medical care, and use of innovative diagnostics. Founded in 1970, our veterinarians and support staff can provide a progressive, beneficial, and effective impact on your pet's health. Open Monday through Thursday, 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., Saturdays from 8 a.m. to noon, and closed on Sunday.
Pet Supplies Plus, located in the Walmart Shopping Center on South Jefferson, is open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily, specializing in pet foods, treats, and edible chews, pet toys, and apparel, pet supplies of all kinds, grooming and health, as well as flea and tick items, offering all major brands and a large selection of natural foods and treats made in the USA. Fish, reptiles, ferrets, and other very small pets available.
Cumberland Pet Essentials has been serving Middle Tennessee since 1989, offering dog and cat grooming and styling. In their natural pet market, they sell dog and cat supplies, accessories, and high-quality trusted brands of food and treats. Owner Karen Rataco is an ISCC certified pet stylist and a certified pet nutritionist. She offers free nutritional counseling, helping owners make healthier choices for their pets. Their store hours are Monday through Saturday, 8 to 5 p.m., located at 142 South Willow Avenue in the Willow Tree Plaza. Give them a call, 931-528-7711, Cumberland Pet Essentials.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Pets with me, your host, Linda Weston, and Cookeville Putnam County Animal Vice President Sarah Hollick-Webb on News Talk 107.7 and 1400, The Hub. So if you're just tuning in, Sarah and I have been talking today with Christie Faccinto, who is a fab dog trainer and owner of Thunderhawk Canine right here in Cookeville, about the prevalence of owner-surrendered dogs in the shelter nationwide and what potential pet owners need to think about before adopting. And really, what we were just talking about in the last segment is it kind of boils down to recognizing that dogs need training. And Christy, we need you to chime in here on the kind of training classes, boarding situation that you offer at Thunderhawk Canine.
Generally speaking, we offer group classes. We're on a little bit of a hiatus right now, just trying to figure out logistics and stuff. We also do a lot of virtual training where we're meeting with clients one-on-one over online, which came up through COVID, but that's sort of extended through as we're able to meet people's busy schedules better. And then we have our inboard program where dogs actually stay with us. We do the training, and then we train the people because that is a key part of it. So those are the big key things that we offer. But Cookeville is so blessed. We've got such a great community of dog trainers here. And I know, Sarah, you were just talking about reaching out to a trainer. The two things I wanted to kind of mention about that is who those trainers are matter a little bit. Like, obviously, you want to check credentials and whatnot. Make sure that the people are starting with, are starting with some positive reinforcement-based foundation. The industry in and of itself is widely divided on what's appropriate, just like everything else in our country. But you at least want somebody that's not going to start out telling the dog that they're horrible and they're bad for being insecure or scared. They're not going to just reach for tools or correction just because the dog is having issues. So that's where I would be looking to put my emphasis in reaching out to people, making sure that we really reach out to the right kind of people that are going to do the dogs well.
You said something earlier that I think is really, really true. You're a trainer, a dog trainer is not only training the dog, you're really training the people, because it's the people who have to be consistent with how to follow up and do the training with the dog.
It is, absolutely. And that's our inboard program, we offer unlimited. Like, we want to make sure that everybody has good communication, because that's all any of us are doing is we're building a decent expectation of behaviors and then good communication between both parties. I will say that sometimes it's easier for the dog to learn from somebody who knows how to speak the language and then teach the people once the dog knows, and I think oftentimes that's the case, because if both parties are trying to learn together, often they're perhaps not communicating on a level they should. The human's making some body language mistakes or things like that. The other thing I always like to mention is right now we're in a phenomenon where there is so much information available online, on YouTube, social media, things like that. And so people go out there with a problem, they ask for input, and they get the whole gamut of options on how to handle something. And so they'll try a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit. And my favorite analogy for that is that's like trying to bake a cake using 7 different recipes. And so you use the eggs from one and the flour from another, and you put it all together and you throw it in the oven. And it just comes out slop because there's no cohesive program between everything. So if you do decide to work with a trainer or use somebody online or something like that, stick with the program. They build through foundation. They go through steps to get to the end result. Don't try to shortcut your end result, because then you're ending up just making confusion for your dog and creating more conflict. So
it's sort of like, when you're not feeling well and you Google WebMD or whatever.
Yeah, and then you're convinced that you're dying no matter.
You've got 8 different.
I've got a sliver, but cut my finger off.
Yes, exactly.
Well, while we're talking about just behaviors and things like that, while we were on break, Christie had brought up a really interesting COVID dog case.
Oh, thank you for reminding me.
About that you're currently working with.
ARF is one of our favorite foster and rescue organizations locally. They often pull from the shelter and put them in foster homes to get an idea of their temperament. And this is just a sweet dog. Her name is Daisy. She's a Wheaten mix, and she was clearly a COVID dog. I think she was, I'm not sure if she was owner, surrender, or stray, but she's just scared of the world, scared of people, scared of everything all the time. And there's usually 2 approaches with any sort of getting dogs used to something. We can either do what we call systematic desensitization, where we get them used to smaller amounts and we build on that over time, or there's flooding, where you just put the dog in the environment and you're like, cope or die, and hope that they cope. We're not advocates of flooding, even though there's some popular TV shows that talk about it. We're not advocates of that. But sometimes when we just do desensitization, trying to get the dog used to things at a low level, sometimes we can't even get them to a mental state where they can have a positive experience no matter what. And so then we have to go about doing other things, teaching them again, trust through us, through skill sets. So with this kid, we basically taught her first to trust us, the trainers at the kennel, got her finally to a mental state where she could even take rewards in different scenarios. Then we started teaching her some obedience skill sets, some very simple ones like sit, stay. But now when and even healing, she used to try to run around people to put a human that she knows between the people that she was afraid of and herself. And so just using like a heel position and a sit stay so that we can take her into these scenarios and make her feel protected with us. Now she'll take some rewards. She's not as scared going into those scenarios. She started to build trust. Now, if random people came running up and started mauling her and stuff, that could be undone. But at least we've got her to a point now where she's not scared of everything. She's trusting in people to keep her safe. And so, again, like you mentioned, every dog is a little bit different. Some things that would traditionally have worked before hadn't worked. So they did reach out to us because they're a very knowledgeable rescue organization. They reached out to us and we've been able to make some great inroads. So she actually will be put back up for adoption here shortly. She was pulled off and we'll be working with her future owners to make sure that they're ensured success. So
how great for that dog. Really, that's a wonderful thing.
It's got to be really sad to go through life terrified of the world, right? And sometimes as compassionate human beings, we isolate and indulge versus say, okay, I'm gonna teach you to cope through this, and then your life is going to be so much better and bigger once we get through this hump. And so I think that's another COVID thing. Like we say, oh, he's a COVID dog, so I can't take him or I can't do this with her. For me, if my dog's scared of something, then I feel like it's my personal mission to get my dog to love it, because then I'm just making their world broader and I'm giving them less things to worry about.
Breaking down barriers for them, really.
Yeah, I like that. that.
Well, Christy, like you mentioned earlier, we have just an enormous amount of really great trainers in our area. A lot of them are Thunderhawk grads, I guess. They've worked at Thunderhawk and they've worked with you, so you have the pleasure of knowing them personally. And so it's a really wonderful thing, and we're really excited about being able to showcase a lot of these wonderful trainers at an event that we've got coming up called Upper Cumberland Pet Expo, and that's coming up this fall on Saturday, October 15th. It's going to be a midday event from 11 to 3 out at Heidelberg's Ag Pavilion, and it's going to be huge. And so one of the things that we're really excited about is a whole space that we have dedicated called Ask the Trainer. And it's for things like this. It's for these obstacles that we overcome, that we can overcome, because sometimes we have really complex situations and we don't know where to go with them, and it needs training and it needs a lot of work. And sometimes we have situations that we think are really complex and are actually really simple and have some very simple solutions that can be addressed in even just a short one-on-one Q&A. So it's really great to be able to have a lot of these trainers, pretty much all of them, are going to be present at Pet Expo. We've got a huge variety of trainers that are going to be present to be able to be part of this. So, and on top of, we've got vendors and lots of other fun things too.
Well, I think it's so neat that we're doing this Ask the Trainer, because it'll give trainers a chance to really talk to the people.
Absolutely.
And it'll give the people a chance to see how you mix and match with different personalities and different trainers, and the trainer can actually, this is an event, you get to bring your dog to Pet Expo. The first year we had it, which was 2 years ago, COVID, we were hoping about 500 people would come, and we had about 2,000. So this year we've opened it up to all of Heidelberg's, and it'll just be so fun and more space. And I think this Ask the Trainer, well, Christy, you'll be there, and several other trainers. So folks, put it on your calendar, October 15th. But in the meantime, if people want to contact you, Christy, let's tell them how to do that.
Our website is Thunderhawk Canine, all spelled out. So ThunderHawkCanine.com. And that's usually the easiest way. There's an email on there that you can go. You can call. We're usually out training dogs, and then we call you back when we're done, and then people often aren't there. But we also have a ton of content on our website. You can also get a hold of us through social media. We put updates of all the dogs that stay with us and things like that on our social media pages. And we have some that have followings. There's a community down in Spencer where we've done some inboard with the dogs. And one day the FedEx driver was driving through, and they're like, "Hey, is that Hannah?" And the poor woman was just like, "How do you know my dog?" And he's like, "Oh, I followed Thunderhawk. She did the inboard program." And they're like, "Oh, yeah."
Cute.
So
Well, if someone was interested in adopting the Wheaton Terrier that you were talking about, how did they?
I think that they would reach out. They could reach out to me, absolutely, and I could put them in contact with Ariel at ARF. I think she handles all the adoption stuff.
Okay. All right. So again, folks, if you want to talk to Christie about anything,
email's best, and expect me to reply about midnight.
So that's thunderhawkcanine.com.
Thank you.
All right. Well,
We have just literally a minute left.
Okay.
So I'm going to harp on something. It is hot. I'm sure we've all noticed that we've had a particularly hot summer. And so we just, again, want to remind people that if it seems hot to you, it's even hotter to our pets often. So beware of course, leaving your pets in cars, even if it's running. Sometimes it can get too hot in a vehicle for a dog if that air conditioner isn't like really cranked up or if it's left out in the sun. So be aware of that. Of course, pavement. We all want to walk our pets, but be very, very careful with pavement because paws can easily get burned and blistered. And then drinking stagnated or standing water. We've had some problems with algae in the last couple of years that has been toxic, and of course other toxins that just leach into water. So be very, very careful about the water that your animal drinks. Make sure and just carry a bottle and a collapsible bowl or something like that with you if you're going to be out doing just fun summer activities or walking with your pet.
Great advice, all of it. And also remember, folks, if you heard this show and you say, oh, this is such great information, I know somebody who really needs to hear this show, you can do it. All you have to do is go to youtube.com, click on our YouTube channel. It is C/PC Animal Friends, and it'll pull up all of our last shows for the last several months, so you can hear all of this again and enjoy it all over again.
That is incredible. I had no idea you guys got it up there. Congrats.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is our show for today. Thank you, Christie, so much for being with us. You're always a wonderful guest. Folks, if you have questions or comments, email them to Christie. No, email them to us at putnamcountypets@gmail.com. We're wishing everyone a perfect weekend and hope you'll join us here next Saturday on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub.
Friends of Cookeville Putnam County Animals is a 501c3 nonprofit, all-volunteer support group for the Cookeville Putnam County Animal Shelter. For more information, visit www.putnamcountypets.org.